Hello, Richie, Bullets and Broadheads, and this video is called Are You Ready to Be a Gun Owner? Now this is a Ruger LC9. This is a great gun. I absolutely love this gun. I shoot this gun great. I got no problem with the trigger. And it's actually loaded. So I'm going to unload it, safety check it. And let's talk about Are You Ready to Be a Gun Owner? Now there's a great line from Spider-Man, and the line is, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's absolutely true when it comes to guns. Now if you're thinking about buying your first gun, you gotta think about, why are you buying your first gun? Are you ready to own a gun, a firearm? I mean, there's a lot involved. I mean, do you have children? That's a big question. You know, are you going to be able to be responsible enough not to leave a loaded gun around children? You know, you're going to have to buy some type of safe, keep it away, lock it away. And what's your purpose, reasons for buying a gun? If you're buying a gun just to be cool, don't buy a gun. I mean, if you're buying one for just strictly self-defense and you're going to just keep it loaded and keep it in a safe and never train, that's not a good reason to buy a gun either. I mean, if you're just going to do that, buy a revolver. Don't buy a semi, you know, and don't even think about buying a 1911. Now, if you're going to buy a gun, you got to think about, are you going to CCW? Are you going to carry it? Now, if you're going to carry a weapon, you have to train. If you're going to take that responsibility of having a weapon on you at all times, I suggest you take a class. And you must go to the range at least once a month, at least 8 to 10 times a year. You have to become proficient in that weapon. You know, people think, I'll buy a gun, I'll carry it, and I'll protect myself. That's not the case. Most times, you won't be able to. You won't be able to just draw a gun and fire accurately. You're more of a danger to society than a bad guy. Because you're walking around with a loaded firearm, you're not trained, you don't practice. I mean, there's a lot that comes into play about using a gun. You know, you have to be ready to use it. You have to know how to draw a gun. If you have a safety on a gun, like this Ruger, you have to know, I have to engage the safety, disengage in safety. That's why safeties are good and they can be bad. You know, especially for new gun owners. You know, new gun owners always want the safest gun. Oh, I want a safety, I want this, I want that. And you know what? They'll draw that gun and they'll try to pull the trigger and nothing will happen because the safety's on. So you just can't say, well, I'm going to buy a gun today. There's a whole thought process you have to go through. Are you going to be responsible enough? Are you ready, God forbid you have to use this weapon to take a life, to defend your family? I mean, that's a big question you got to ask yourself. It sounds easy, but I guarantee you, like I said, I've been in the military, I've been in some situations, and it's not as easy as you think. So you have to be ready to use it, and you have to train to use it. You just can't buy a gun and put it on your waist and say, I'm ready. That's a total misconception. Don't watch the movies. Read magazines. You see on YouTube videos of actual cases where people have to draw their weapon. I mean, it's over in a flash. And most times, most people don't even hit their target. So you have to train. I go to the range at least once a month. And I train in my house. Drawing and dry firing. I take this seriously. This can take a life. And you have to think the same way. So if you're thinking about buying a gun, you have to go through a whole thought process of, what am I going to use it for? I'm just going to have a gun just to have in a house, just in case. Well, then get a revolver. I want a gun to carry on me and protect myself and my family at all times. Well, then you think more towards a small semi and stick with 9mm, especially your first gun. there's a great set of 9mm out there right now. But the most important thing I can say about caliber, what size gun, you have to train with that particular gun. You really do. You just can't buy it, strap it on, go out in the world, and say I'm ready. Because that's the furthest thing from the truth. So, if you're ready to be a gun owner, you're ready to take on the responsibility. You're ready to have a loaded firearm in your house. You must make sure that nobody has access to that weapon besides you. Unless you have a wife who you're going to train too. That's a great part of gun ownership too. If you have your spouse, get her involved. God forbid you're not home one day, take her to the range. Get her familiar with the weapon, how to use it. So, remember, being a gun owner, it's a big responsibility. I mean, you make one mistake and it can be costly. So that's my video on being a gun owner. Make sure you go through the thought process while you're buying a gun. Hopefully you're not buying it because it's cool, and hopefully you're buying it for self-defense, to get involved in shooting, the gun community, and train. Go to the range. Make sure the weapon's reliable, and make sure you're reliable. And that's my video on being ready to be a gun owner. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's a great line, and that applies to being a gun owner. Take care.